Okay, get this. Have you ever thought you could see a global crisis coming just by tracking pizza orders? I know, it sounds nuts, but there's this really fascinating, kind of legendary theory that late night food deliveries in Washington, D.C. might just be a secret signal for huge world events.
I mean, it really sounds like something straight out of a spy movie, right? But this is the big question we're digging into. Could the key to knowing something big is about to happen not be in top secret memos, but in a simple cardboard box? So, to see if there's any fire behind the smoke, we've got to look at a very recent, very real global crisis, one that brought this entire theory roaring back into the headlines.
All right, so picture this. It's April 13th, 2024. Tensions in the Middle East are boiling over, and Iran launches this major drone and missile attack against Israel. The entire world is holding its breath, watching Washington to see how the U.S. will respond. You know, it's a high stakes, all hands on deck, late night situation for the national security folks.
Now, at the very same time the world is glued to this news, something else is happening. Data dashboards that monitor businesses around the Pentagon just light up. One Domino's, just a stone's throw away, showed its busyness spiked by over 400% compared to normal.
And that's the whole mystery, isn't it? You've got this huge military event on one side of the planet and a pizza place in Virginia going into overdrive on the other. How on earth could these two things be connected? Are we just seeing patterns that aren't really there? Or is this an actual observable signal that a government is in crisis mode? Well, to get to the bottom of that, we have to rewind the clock a bit. This isn't some new idea that just popped up. The legend of pizza intelligence actually goes way back, born in the paranoia of the Cold War.
You see, this story grew over decades. It kicked off with Cold War lore. These tales that the KGB was literally watching for pizza boxes piling up at the Pentagon as an early warning. Then, in the 80s, it got a little more real. Domino's delivery guys actually told Time magazine they'd see orders double right before the invasions of Grenada and Panama. But the first time we got something like hard data was in 1991. A franchise owner said that in the days leading up to the Gulf War, late-night deliveries to the Pentagon skyrocketed from maybe 3 a night to over 100.
And look, this wasn't just some fringe conspiracy theory. It became so ingrained in Washington that seasoned journalists like Wolf Blitzer, who was covering the Pentagon for CNN back then, basically adopted it as an unofficial rule. The word was out. Okay, but that was then. We're not in the 90s anymore. We're not relying on delivery drivers counting boxes by hand. So how did this old-school spycraft get a high-tech upgrade for the 21st century? The big leap has been from physical to digital. The old-school way was all about human observation, right? Courier stories, delivery receipts, single reports. The new school method, which is what we're seeing today with public dashboards like Pizzant.watch, it's all about using publicly available map data. It tracks these anonymous signals to see how busy a place is in real time. And it's really, really important to get what's being measured here. We are not talking about spying on who's ordering a pepperoni pizza. This is what's called a venue busyness signal. You know when you look up a store on Google Maps and you see that little bar graph that says busier than usual? It's basically that. It's a broad, anonymous measurement of activity compared to what's normal for that place. Okay, so it's an amazing story. But before we all open up a new browser tab to monitor DC pizza joints, we have to do a reality check. We have to ask the big question, does this actually work? Or are we just telling ourselves a fun story? Yeah, treating this like some kind of magic crystal ball is super risky, and for a few big reasons. First, there's confirmation bias. We get all excited when we see a spike during a crisis, but we totally ignore all the times there was a spike and absolutely nothing happened. Second, it could just be a coincidence. Maybe it was a late-night budget meeting, or some big report was due. And finally, you gotta remember, the Pentagon knows people are watching. They have their own 24/7 cafeterias. They can just change up their food logistics. And this, right here, is the most crucial takeaway. Even the folks who run the modern tracking dashboards will tell you this loud and clear. A pizza signal is never proof of anything. At its absolute best, it's a prompt. It's a cheap, public trigger to start paying closer attention with more reliable tools. So, if it's not a foolproof prediction machine, what's the real lesson here? Why is the Pentagon Pizza Index still such a powerful idea for people who study open source intelligence? Well, it all comes down to this really cool concept, the involuntary signal. Just think of a giant organization like the US government as having its own metabolism. As it works, it gives off heat, it makes noise, it consumes stuff. And most of this is intentional.
But some of it creates these unintentional public side effects, like a sudden massive demand for late-night pizza. And that's the real genius of this whole thing. The Pizza Index isn't really about pizza at all. It's a perfect case study for a way of thinking that's at the heart of open source intelligence, or OSINT. It teaches you to look at the world and ask, what data is being created just as a byproduct of everyday life? And what can that hidden data tell us if we just learn how to read it? It really forces you to think differently, doesn't it? If a sudden spike in pizza orders could hint at a global crisis, what else is out there? What other involuntary signals are being broadcast all around us every single day, just waiting for somebody to notice? What other secrets are hiding in plain sight?